Now, how do you see your characters? Do you see them, are they real people to you? Do you see them in your head, like a movie? How do you see your characters?
I do, but mostly I'll get the words first. The voice will come first.
You hear it before you
I'll
see
hear it, and then I build a
Interesting.
person to fit what they have had to say. And we've been asked to do a second book with the same characters that are in C, built around Amanda and Cameron, the 1996 protagonists who go back to solve this mystery. So I've begun to do that, and that is a different experience because I already know. You put in a book perhaps 10% of what you write about a character, but you have to know the other 90% to know which 10 to use. In this case, I already know the names, and I can tell you when I go to start a chapter whose voice should move the story where it needs to go. In this book, one of the more incidental things, a very secondary figure, it's her kindness. The American people were very kind to the prisoners here. That kindness is what has the former German soldier, it's what begins to wear away at his continued support for Germany, and by the end of the book he has switched positions and begun to feel that his actions were something he now regrets. But it's a very small part of the book where she's kind to him in baking bread that turns that corner for Jan. And his turning that corner in his thinking is what makes the book take the direction that it does.
And of course that idea in itself makes the reader, or makes me wonder, how many other people had that same experience, that perhaps lives touched one another and one of the lives was changed. I mean, we never know when our lives come up against another person, even if it's a brief encounter. You may have that kind of, I mean, that's a real awakening, a real change of heart, a real change of thinking, if you will.
I think so, and sometimes it's very incidental. The scene in Grand Central Station where they just happen to run into the former German POW that was a campmate of Jan's. If he had not happened to be in that same place in Grand Central Station as Amanda's father Matthew and as Jan, that connection 5 seconds later in crossing and where they were walking. So you have to wonder sometimes the incidents in life that cause us to take certain actions or say certain things that result in something.
Turn certain corners at certain moments.
Yes, and this has been a funny book. Everybody that reads it likes it. We have some awesome comments that have come in. I've recently sold some copies to middle school. I had former military people who were contemporaries of my father read it. You understand the way the military really works. Women, college kids. It's been oddly interesting that I wrote it, I think, as a niche book, and it has seemed to not stay in its niche. It's expanding greatly. That's been a lot of fun. Everybody seems to find something different in the book to identify with.
Now, I know you have a website. If our viewers go to your website, let's give its address and what they'll find there.
Okay, it's www.chanterpress.com or CherylKerrBooks.com. They'll find an excerpt from the book. They can order the book. There's a write-up about me, about the press, ordering the book, information. You can get an autographed copy if you wish. Book People in Austin has recently started carrying it, and I've got 4 signings set up around the state of Texas. So we're beginning to get out there. We're excited.
How exciting for you.
Yeah, we're excited. It's been a really cool 2 months. The book came out July 4th, which is a good patriotic date.
Perfect.
We love the timing for that, yes.
Now, when's the next book, the sequel, due out?
I hope next year. They've asked for it, so I'm beginning to outline, but a book, if it goes quickly, can take maybe a year to write, and we'll see after that. So probably 2011, I would think, is a safe bet.
What do you think are some of the main themes that run through this book? I mean, obviously family, and that we don't always know one another.
That's very true. We tend to only know the parts of people that we know. Yes. I think words that I've gotten are, I can't put the book down. It makes me forget what day and time it is. It's intergenerational. It's historical. It's got hope in it about resolving peace. And it's a story of 2 people finding out who their fathers were. She buries her father because she figures out something of the man he was. And Jan's son finds him after 60 years of not knowing where his father was because of the separation that happened after the end of the war. So it's a parallel story from 2 different ends that brings people to the same conclusion, that they needed to know a little bit about who someone was.
Well, fascinating story. And
Thank
I
you.
also think the word discovery has to come in there because you discover things about yourself while you're discovering things about your past, and discover intertwining pieces that you never thought were there. So I think discovery is also another theme that runs through this book.
Oh, I very much think so. And every little piece turns out to be something else. In this case, much of the book centered around when my father died very suddenly. We found a slide projector in our attic. My parents never took slides. So the slide projector is in the book because that was another one of those odd incidental things. I don't know why it was in the attic. So I made up a reason for it to be in the book because it has stuck in my head for years and years.
A question that will never be answered.
It will never be answered. But quirky, funny little things. Why did people that did not take pictures have a old, early 1960s circa slide projector?
Cheryl Kerr, you're delightful, and
Thank
the
you.
book is just terrific. Thank you for coming by and chatting with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I can't wait for the sequel.
Great. Thank you so much.